Well, Happy New Year and welcome to the newest edition of Ask Antar. Welcome to 2025. Mayor, welcome to 2025.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you, and look forward to our program today for the new year.
Well, let's go back to 2024. Okay. Let's talk about...
That's in the past.
That's in the past, I know, but sometimes we step back.
I got you.
Your holidays, tell me about them. Christmas?
My holidays was pretty relaxed. So, our Christmas tradition, beginning before Christmas, we always make a cake on Christmas Eve.
From scratch or from a box?
Well, I don't personally make the cake, so it depends on how tired and willing my wife is. But she always, helps fulfill this tradition. So this is a long-standing tradition in my family. My maternal grandmother, my mom's mother, her birthday was Christmas Eve. And I never met my grandmother. And so in her honor, my mother would always make her favorite cake on her birthday. And so, it's something that I've now passed along to my children, and they know that that's a part of our family tradition. So we had our traditional caramel cake, and we do it because we love her, because caramel is a little rich. Eating an entire caramel cake is sometimes hard to take down, even though it's good. It's just a little rich. But we did that. Woke up on Christmas morning, had a good brunch. Kids opened presents as usual, and then we went to my parents in love house, and they opened more gifts and just had a good time. Had a good time. And then New Year's Eve, we were in church. Very calm, very normal. Yeah.
So you had some days off.
I did. It was important. So my wife asked that I take days that mirrored the days that she had off, and so we just had an opportunity to just be around the house. So didn't go anywhere, didn't travel anywhere, but just being at home watching all of the oldies and goodies movies. You got to watch This Christmas. You got to watch Christmas Story. The Christmas Story, that's more her speed, but This Christmas, that's one of my new traditions. So we had a good time. And I ran into my friend David Banner over the holidays, and I told him that we watch This Christmas every year, which
because he's in it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So how this is not typical for you though. I mean, it's not often that you get like several days in a row at home doing nothing, which is you and the family.
No, and that's why when my wife requested it, I thought that I would, I should take advantage of it, and so. For me, a vacation is typically, a weekend that I may not have, something to do or have very few things to do. So just being around the house, seeing the girls play and their inquisitiveness around things was refreshing.
For you mentally, because it's not like you've had a lot going on.
Not nearly.
How were you able to kind of center yourself and kind of reflect and just be as one with yourself?
Well, something someone said that I think will preach and spoke to me. They said, most things in life, if they're not working or if they, have challenges, if you unplug them, right, and plug them back up, they will work again, right? Even us as people, right? And so I think it's important that we unplug. I think from a biblical standpoint, even, the Lord resting, on the seventh day wasn't because, our omnipotent God needed rest. It was because it was a lesson to us of the importance of Sabbath and rest. And so, I thought that was key. We deal with difficult things in all seriousness in this space. And so, sometimes to be a better person for myself and for my family and for this work, it's important that we unplug. So I did that. So
did you do anything special for yourself?
I think I know what you're getting at. Not just for me. I got a tattoo. And, for those that are surprised because they don't see it, it's not my first. But my wife, she said that she really wanted a tattoo for her Christmas, one of her Christmas gifts. And so she got Be Still, which comes from Scripture. And so I chose a Basquiat crown. And the scripture James 1:12, which says, "Blessed is the man who is steadfast under trial, for when he has withstood the test, he will be presented the crown of life, which the Lord has preserved for those who love him."
And that spoke to you?
Yeah, that spoke to me.
Especially during this season.
Both, I mean, of course, certainly the scripture most of all, but even the choice of the Basquiat crown, which is a symbol of resilience and resistance in some regard, but it's also one of honor. And so I will say this, that, you know, while some residents, and I know that some of our, you know, we have some elders that, you know, are a little iffy about tattoos. My parents were too when I got, you know, my first in college. But, you know, all of the things that I choose to put on my body have meaning and importance to me. And so it's something that my wife and I share.
Tell a little bit about the artist, I mean, the crown itself.
So this is from Jean-Michel Basquiat, famous artist. He was a good friend of Andy Warhol. Like most artists, his prominence and being revered came after he had died. But he was very prevalently known within the 80s. Particularly, have a lot of pieces. Matter of fact, we have a print. We don't have any.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
wow.
we don't have it like that. But we have a print that is in our home, in our bedroom, that we've had for a while, and we've just kind of fallen in love with his art, because his art, first of all, to reach that level of prominence as a black artist, is very rare. And so it speaks of his skill and ability. It speaks of the depth and variety that we can display. He has a lot of abstract pieces, but there's a lot of strong and powerful messages within his work, messages of resistance, messages that condemn the need for greed, you know, in our nation. So it's, you know, as I've become more familiar with his work, I've become more of a fan of his work. And so I thought that both messages coincided with one another.
Yeah, that's pretty appropriate. What did the girls say?
They were surprised. I mean, they know that I have other tattoos, but they were surprised that their mom and dad went and got tattoos. So I guess we got a few cool points, you know, in the house for the moment.
Okay, all right. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about your vision moving into 2025, which we're already in. But talk a little bit about your vision and how you foresee that. So stick with us. We'll be right back in just a few moments. Welcome back. So we're in 2025, and I meant to ask you earlier, did you make any resolutions, or did you?
You know, I don't really, you know, typically make resolutions, just determinations that I want to be more disciplined and you know, just follow up on my walk, you know, but not just for, you know, the new year. So I mean, I am fasting, and so I won't speak, you know, too intently about that, but that's important to me.
We did see tragedy off the top of 2025 in New Orleans. Over a dozen people killed on Bourbon Street. As the mayor as a human, how did that impact you?
Well, first, you know, my prayers are with the people of New Orleans. I did reach out to my friend, Mayor Cantrell. She responded which, having dealt with a different variety of emergency, I don't even understand how she has the capacity to respond back. I wasn't sending her a message for her to respond back, but she did, and she was grateful for not only the prayers from me, but I shared that the people of Jackson are praying. We know New Orleans is, a hop, skip, and a jump from us. So certainly when we see something like that take place, we're not only concerned for the people we know, but we're concerned for the reality that this is something that can happen anywhere. We have, events, we have parades, we have, things where the public is potentially at danger. And so it just puts things in perspective, that there's evil out there, and that, our public safety officials take note. So, even as we venture into celebrating our JSU Tigers, our national champions, I know you're excited about that. We're even considering, what precautions, what adjustments need to be made so that we learn from the unfortunate events that have taken place in other places. Yeah.
And speaking of JSU, clearly they won the HBCU national championship.
They did, in convincing fashion, actually.
Okay.
In convincing. I don't know, just, from a historical standpoint, I just don't remember. Has Alcorn ever won the Celebration Bowl?
We have not.
Oh, okay.
So, as in solidarity, we of course are applauding Jackson State. We are excited. And so the city is decided to essentially honor
absolutely,
the football program.
and you're being humble about it. We appreciate you taking the lead and supporting that.
How did you put an Alcornite in charge of this parade?
Listen, I just know that you can put all that aside and get it done. But no, I think it's the right thing to do. My family and I had the opportunity to go to the game, and before we could leave, everybody was asking, "Are we going to have a parade? Are we going to have a parade?" And so, I not only knew that would be a question, and I knew that we certainly would be interested in doing it. But I think sometimes people forget that at the end of the year like that, those football players are students, and they're away for the holidays. And so that is the delay, is that we could have a parade, but we'd have nobody to celebrate, right? Like they'd be in the various places which they come from, and they've had a long season, and so they're excited about going home. And so now that they're returning for the spring semester, we're happy to celebrate them, to lift them up, to let them know that this city loves them, that we know that you can't, talk about the city of Jackson without talking about Jackson State. Our Jackson State football, our band, is a part of what gives us a sense of place. It's a part of the unique experience of our city. And so it's all of our team, right? I didn't go to Jackson State. You just remind me. I took some classes at Jackson State, but I didn't graduate from Jackson State. But I still feel a sense of pride because it's my home team.
And there are people, even my office, people are flying in. From out of state, just for this week, for that weekend, just for that parade.
Well, it'll be a homecoming of sorts, and we're ready to welcome them back, and we're gonna have a good time. It'll be cold. It'll be cold, and there's not much we can do about that.
Right.
And as we've shared with people, it has to be an evening parade because we not only wanted to consider JPS students and giving them an opportunity to be there, but people who don't get off work until 5. And so we know that in the winter it gets darker quicker. And so it'll be a little dark, but we're going to have a good time.
And this, you don't even know, but it's now kind of turned into a pep rally too as well. So pep rally will kick off at 4.
Well, I'm sure all Jacksonians are just looking forward to seeing you with your JSU colors on. We'll probably make sure that all city employees have a JSU shirt.
I would like to talk about my resignation. But speaking of jobs, as you are moving into this, clearly you're going into a campaign season, but let's just say this last quarter right here. Vision moving forward.
Well, let me just say that I take this work very seriously. Working for a community in whatever regard, whether it's as mayor or in my prior work as an attorney, I think is a part of my responsibility here. It's what my parents taught me. They taught me to have an appreciation for family, an appreciation for community, but more importantly, the concept of viewing the community as a family. And so I believe Jacksonians are worth being fought for. I believe that there's a lot that pushes against us, and historically so, right? Sometimes people associate, the, fight or the struggle with the state with me, when the reality is it far predates me, right? I'm just unwilling to let discrimination or exploitation take place on this space, right? I'm unwilling to not speak up for the people of Jackson. And that's because it's important to me, and it's because of everything that I was taught. Like, this is how I keep my parents alive, by this work. And so, we have a lot of infrastructure needs, right? And not as much support in responding to those needs. And so while we have those, it's important that people understand that you don't just merely admire problems. You must have programmatic solutions to how you will address those. And so we have a very programmatic approach to how we pave roads. We have a very programmatic approach to how we secured money that ultimately will ensure that we have more sustainable water infrastructure. We have a programmatic approach to how we will address drainage and issues of flooding within our community. And so we want to carry those things out. And then we want to move forward on public safety, right? Whether it's the work within our police department or the understanding that public safety isn't exclusively within the province of our police force. It's all of our responsibility. And so I want to ensure that our Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery truly becomes the resource that we want it to be. Because, it's devastating to me each time I hear about another young person lost.
Yeah.
Now, we have to say this not because we're ready to drop a mission accomplished banner, but because we need reason to believe we can do better. It's important that, in spite of what you may see on the news each day, because it is what sells, that our crime has been trending down for the last several years. We're down from last year, and last year we were down from the year before, right? I think there's approximately, I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but over 20% overall decrease in crime, more than a 30% decrease in violent crime, and nearly, mirroring that in terms of property crimes. And so that means that there's been a lot of hard work, but if we truly want to have the greatest impact, then, we have to be able to make that impact before the harm is caused. And, we understand that when crimes take place, that there is an appropriate response to that, but we have to think more than just punitively. Our goal, we have to ask ourselves, are our goals to be punitive or are our goals to stop the harm?
Right.
And I believe our goal should be essentially to stop the harm and see whole communities and see families no longer in crisis and pain and struggle. And so those things are important to me, amongst other things. Obviously, economic development. I would say that, when people really take stock of what has happened, Belhaven doesn't look like it did when we first started.
Right.
Fondren doesn't look like it did when we first started. Even Capitol Street and even the nightlife, even though you want to have a balance of that, doesn't look like it did when we first started.
Right.
Now, we have a long way to go because many of the areas that I've talked about are areas that were considered, quote unquote, investor ready. And so there are other communities that have a want and a need, but it's a little more difficult to get people to release their dollars in those areas. We have housing going up over in Livingston Place near the medical mall, 200 market value homes. We have new housing development that has happened for our seniors. The Pearl is something that the city of Jackson put, its skin in the game with. When we look at opportunities, we're supporting and we put skin in the game in terms of helping the bean path, right? We want to see that tech hub, that tech campus. That's important to our growth. It's important to the future of work, right? We don't want to prepare for work that happened 20 years ago. We want to prepare for where the trends and where the world's going for the next 20, 30, 40 years down the road. And I know that Jacksonians have the skill set, the ability to do that. You know, traditionally, our greatest exports as a city, because we have a higher than national average college graduation rate. Jacksonians know that about yourself, that you graduate more college graduates than the national average. But unfortunately, those people don't find all of the opportunity in their fields of study. And so our greatest exports happen to be, you know, our money and our talent. And so we want to make certain that both stay home and both enrich the community around us.
Okay, that's a great place to stop. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. So we see in our weekly news conference, one question that we can always count on somebody asking is whether or not you're going to run.
Yeah.
And even one question that we got is why not focus on your case and step down or step away or take a leave of absence?
Well, let me say this. First of all, the greatest honor that I've had in my professional life is to work for the people of Jackson, and so I'm grateful for that. I will say that, you know, I will never be a part of an exercise of just running for the sake of running. I don't want to be king, right? And so if I make a decision to run, it's because I fundamentally believe that there's work to be accomplished, and I believe that I can be an asset to that work. So that is why I've made the decision to run again, and that's exclusively the reason why I've made the decision, after prayer, of course, and consulting with my family. Now, in terms of focusing on my case, and I would imagine that whoever asked that question was really concerned about my well-being, you know, I'm grateful that I have good legal counsel. I'm going to trust that counsel. They have advised that they believe that they don't see any reason why I shouldn't run. And lastly, you know, as I have said from the beginning, I am innocent of the charges that I've been accused of. And so I'm not going to allow it to stop me from the work that I am determined to do. I'm not going to allow it to stop me from enjoying and pursuing all that the Lord has for me. And so that's why I am continuing that. So yes, I'm running. I think that there are probably people questioning because they hadn't seen my signs come up yet, which I've just made a decision that we'll do that when we think it's closer to the time. First of all, there's a process where, one, it seems to litter up the city with signs. Two, if you're in this game, you know that your signs are going to be stolen. There's no need to complain about it. It's just a part of the process, right? So, you know, just strategically, we'll put them out when we feel is the most appropriate time to do that. But we've already been invited to a few campaign events or you know,
forums and whatnot.
Forums and those things, and we'll certainly be there. We have something to say, right? Our work is our defense, right? And so we look forward to that.
Speaking of work, at the news conference that we had the other day, there's a lot of work that's about to take place at Grove Park, and that's something you've been very proud of.
Yes. Well, first of all, let me lift up Dr. Abram Muhammad, who is the director of Parks and Rec. You know, from the moment that we've talked about Grove Park, he's been not only willing to take on that challenge, but bringing ideas to the table. And so we're moving forward, and we're, you know, putting, I think, $1.3 million into Grove Park this year. And so that's a community that not only I'm familiar with because I had the opportunity to play baseball as a child in Grove Park, but a community that for about 10 years has felt, forgotten about ever since the underpass was closed off, and the loss or the shuttering of the golf course, and just the age of the baseball facilities. And so we're putting this money into the swimming pool. We're putting this money into the tennis courts. We're putting this money into the baseball fields, right? We want to see activity back in the park. We want to see young people flocking back to these extracurricular things, so that they don't have time for other things, right? They don't have time for the negative things. And so my father would always say to me that it's a lot easier telling a young person what to do than simply telling them what not to do.
Yeah, right. Sounds good. Well, we are out of time. Thank you for being here. I do want to tell you guys, if you have questions, make sure that you email them into us. You can also post them on our socials. But the best thing to do is to go to the City of Jackson website, which is jacksonms.gov, and click on the Ask Antar link, and we will get a list of those questions. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of questions that are going to be coming in over the next several weeks. So we look forward to hearing from you guys. Anything else you want to say as we wrap up?
Happy New Year. Pray that everyone is safe and blessed and prosperous in this new year.
All right, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.